Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Closing Table presented by New Leaf Home Inspections, North Carolina's most trusted home inspectors. Ben, we are back at the closing table. Great to see you, brother.
Great to see you too. Always a fun time at the closing table.
We're already a week and a half into December. We're on our fourth episode, and I'm having a blast with this stuff.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, Doug. We're getting a lot of views. A lot of people are engaging, and most importantly, I get to talk to one of my good buddies in real estate here. And I get to learn something.
Absolutely. That's the goal, right? Let's have fun. Let's learn a little bit. So, moving on to something new. Something new. It's the holidays, right? We're in that magical but kind of checked out time between Thanksgiving and Christmas slash New Year's. Did you know that two-thirds of workers say they're less productive in December? Probably not that surprising, but two-thirds, that's a lot of people checked out for a good portion of the year. How are you staying productive between the holidays?
Well, I'm looking at all the price tags on the Christmas gifts I'm going to have to purchase. That's one way to motivate me because I'm about to pay these credit cards off after the holiday season, it would appear, whatnot. But really, Doug, I'll be honest with you. The last couple of weeks have been very busy here as far as new mortgage pre-qualifications, as far as new contracts actually coming in. Now, some are dated for December, some are dated for January, even one in February I got yesterday. So, it's people are still actively looking. So work's keeping me nice and busy. Holiday performances, Luke's school, that's something that keeps you busy too. They got a lot of things going on there. So yeah, as far as motivated though, I just, paying the bills, right? We got to keep being productive and moving forward. And most importantly, we've got clients that have expectations, right? Like when they're under contract, they need to get things rolling. So we don't take time off here, regardless if it's Christmas or Easter or Halloween or whatever you want to call it. We're always working, even through the winter months.
That's right. No out of office email for me up yet. We're still out there grinding. We're still trying to help our folks get through the process of buying and selling and all that stuff. So you're not going to get any emails from me that say, hey, we'll talk about it in January. Let's talk about it right now. Let's go. We're here to help, right? And the motivation, that's a huge key, right? We don't get paid unless we help people, right? So our goal is to make sure we're out there helping people get things taken care of, right?
Amen to that. Amen to that.
All right, well, let's move on to our next one. You're approved. So, what do you think about AirTags for your bags for holiday travel? Did you know that airlines misplace about 6 in every 1,000 bags? That might not seem like a lot, but there are millions of people flying every day. That's thousands of lost bags. What are your thoughts on that? You use any tracking things for when you travel like that?
I do now. I went to a
Do
work
you?
conference I went out to a work conference in Texas a couple years ago, and they lost my baggage. So I have I wore comfortable clothes to fly in, like gym shorts and a hoodie, just something real lackadaisical. And then that's what I had to show up with the next day to the conference, right? That's all I had. Luckily, they found my bag about 48, 72 hours later, by the time I was about ready to
Wow.
come home. So yeah, after learning lessons like that the hard way, I've decided to go ahead and put my name on my bag and my son's bag too. We'll get him some like a Spider-Man one he has now that he puts on his
Oh,
suitcase.
yeah.
And mine's pretty basic. It's just good old Ben Hawkins, my address. Not that I think it's going to help. If they lose your bag, they lose your bag, but at least they know where to get it to after they find it. So yeah, after learning the hard way, I've decided that I approve those travel tags. How about you guys? You all have traveled the world in the last year. So I want to hear about you're the expert on this. So I want to hear your take.
I don't know about expert. We do like to travel a lot. That's a big priority for us. And we have not used AirTags. I'll tell you, we try to fly Delta a lot because Amanda travels a lot for work, and Delta is the best airline for her to travel with. The great thing about the Delta app is it tells you when your bag goes on the plane. It tells you when your bag comes off the plane. So at least hey, it's either still at the airport or it made it on a plane one way or another if it got off when you got there. So that's really big. I mean, I think the AirTag is probably a good idea. I think some people, there's some safety concerns though, because people can track your AirTags one way or another. And I think I've heard people express concern about that as well. But overall, I think they're a great idea. Probably something we should look a little bit further into.
If anybody wants to track my air tag, I feel bad for them. They really need to shoot higher. They really.
You should have bigger things on your agenda, right? If you're tracking my bags.
Honestly, my bag is not the one that you need to track. There's literally no point. You'll be very disappointed when you get it.
100%. I hear you, man. Well, let's move on to on the hunt, and this should be a fun one to talk about. The Panthers are sitting at 7-6. They're tied for their division lead. They've got the Saints this weekend in Louisiana at the Superdome. They lost to the pitiful 3-10 Saints when they played at Carolina a few weeks ago. Are they going to get the job done this time? Can we keep the Panthers on the hunt, maybe on the prowl, if you will, for a playoff spot this year?
I firmly believe, by the way, keep pounding right here, baby. Panthers
Keep
all
pounding.
day long. Always repping my Panthers through the good times and the bad. I really believe this team is going to come together and get the W on Sunday. I really, truly do. Sadly, I'm not going to be able to go. It's in New Orleans, and I got offered a really, really nice accommodation to go out there in a suite and watch the game. And I have to turn it down because I'm moving and doing some things that I've got to take care of this weekend and in the next coming week. Also, a little too close to Christmas for my taste with the travel and doing that kind of thing. But passing up a great opportunity to be there. So what I've done is I've recruited all my Porter's Neck tennis buddies, and we're going to have a watch party somewhere. We haven't decided where yet, but we're going to be rooting
Nice.
loud and proud from wherever we are. But I really firmly think that Dave Canales is going to have this team focused and ready to go. I think the last Saints game when they lost earlier in the season, that was a letdown game after a big win against Green Bay, right? I believe they just beaten Green Bay the week before at Lambeau. And I really think that they learned a lot from that. I think anytime you get a team that's not used to winning like they are, an organization that's not used to winning on a regular basis, things can happen or whatnot. But I think they learned a lot from that. And I see a different side of this team right now. I see a team that's gelled, come together. They're playing hard for each other. And I just really expect some big things. And then we've got Tampa the following week, and I'll be there for that one in person. So, I'm super excited about I'm just glad to have the Carolina Panthers relevant again. I'm super excited about that. It's nice to have something to root for come playoff time. We've got some hope. We've got a spark. Now we just need to deliver. They need to take the next step as an organization, as a team, and win a game that they should win to help them bolster their playoff chances. What about you, Doug?
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think they're one of those young teams, and they've got to learn to win, especially with a young quarterback, a newer coach. So they're figuring it out. Hopefully, they did learn some stuff from that game against the Saints earlier this year, and it seems like they've put it together over the last several weeks, strung some together at times, and hopefully they can keep that rolling, man. I mean, keep pounding. We want to see them back in the playoffs. It's great for North Carolina and South Carolina too when the Panthers are good because you've got all these schism fan bases, who are pulling for all these different big four schools in the state and surrounding the state and in South Carolina too. The Panthers, kind of like the Canes, give us an opportunity to come together and all root together for one team. So I love it when the Panthers are back in the mix. I'm glad to see they are, and hopefully they can keep it rolling.
Let's go, boys. Keep pounding.
That's right. Let's move it on. We're going to keep talking about sports a little bit with Lock It In. Bowl season's upon us. Both of our teams are in bowl games. Can we lock in a win for our teams? I'm going to lead off. The NC State Wolfpack play Memphis. They're playing down in the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. NC State has been pretty woeful at winning bowl games over the last several years, even though we're they are almost every year. I'm going to go on record and lock it in this year. We're finally going to get back in the win column versus Memphis in a bowl game. And, this was a tough season, ended on a high note, beat the Dirty Foot Club. That's always fun. I'm hoping this will springboard us a little bit into next year. How about your cards?
We play Toledo in I forget what bowl it is, but it's it's the Boca Bowl, Boca Raton Bowl. So it's in Paradise. Our football
Nice.
coach, Jeff Brom, has coaching ties there. He used to coach at FAU, Florida Atlantic, where Boca resides. So I'm sure maybe there's a little bit of something going on behind the scenes to have to get a ticket to that game. Honestly, for me, football ended after we lost 3 straight. I mean, we had a chance at the football playoffs. And honestly, if we went out against teams we should have beaten, we would be in the CFP playoffs, period. I mean, we would be because we win the ACC and we move on. So for me, it's a little disappointing. Also, with these bowl games, you got to remember a lot of these players are sitting out. They're done. They checked out. They're done. They're either moving on to a different school or they're getting ready for next season. So I think a lot of it depends on who shows up to play. But if Louisville can't beat Toledo, then I just really don't know what to say.
I think that's a fair assessment. That's kind of how I'm feeling this year too. So hopefully both our guys get it done and get us both a win in December and make 2026 a little more optimistic. Moving
Let's
on from
do it.
lock it in, let's go to due diligence. We're going to talk about real estate a little bit more here. Question I get a lot, but I want a lender's perspective first before I weigh in. Should sellers list in December? What are your takes from a lending perspective?
Well, I mean, historically, it's a slower time of year, right? That's statistically proven. I've actually had some of my busier months in December as far as production wise. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that people are still buying. I think as far as a seller goes, you may not have as many buyers flocking to the market at this time of year simply because it is Christmas. I mean, people aren't generally vested in moving and doing all that stuff over the holiday season, but it's still a great time to list your home, in my opinion, for the sake of this. Say the right buyer is not out there looking right around Christmas time. There's plenty of other people that are interested. So your home's getting activity, it's gaining traction, and then when people come out of their holiday coma, if you will, or whatnot, they're ready to pop something. So I never think it's, even if you don't list it in December, Doug, I think it's smart to go ahead and have the conversation and get the plan ready and get the house ready during the holiday season, perhaps, if you have time to do things like that, right?
Sure.
Just to have it ready to list when the spring markets is upcoming or the new year hits. I don't think there's a right or wrong time to list your home. I truly don't, because if somebody wants to buy it, they're going to buy it regardless of the date and time. I just think there's be more buyers coming through in the spring, obviously, but I've had some of my busier months in December, so I don't think it's a bad idea at all. What about you?
Well, I think your point about timing is the most important thing. You can't time the market. You're never going to be able to time the market. You need to make the move or list the house or buy the house when it works for what you've got going on in your life, right? That's what it comes down to. Instead of trying to figure out what's going to work for everybody else, figure out what works for you. The advice I like to give to sellers is look, one great thing about this time of year is a lot of people don't list. You know what that means? That means you have less competition in the market. Who doesn't want less competition? You'd rather be one of two houses in your neighborhood for sale or one of 10. Seems like an easy call for me, right? Be the only option. And that way, if people have to move, which by the way, if people are actively looking in December, they're probably people who are actually looking to make a decision, not just kicking tires because people are busy with other stuff. So my opinion is list in December, you got less competition and probably more motivated and serious buyers who are really actually ready to make a decision.
I like it. I think that's smart.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. This one might take a while. Fix this. Notre Dame, the college football playoffs. I'm just going to let you go first before I say my piece. What do you think about this
I
for
think you've been
kerfuffle?
I think you've been excited about this topic, Doug. I think you're chomping at the bit to get on this one. I'll keep mine brief. I have a problem with watching the way Alabama lost to Georgia. I didn't think that was competitive. I didn't think it was good at all. Mind you, there were a lot of injuries on Bama's side of the football, but Georgia had their share of injuries as well. They got absolutely dominated in the SEC championship game. Now, I know the argument would then go to, well, they shouldn't be penalized for playing an extra game. And that makes sense. So do away with the conference championship game. If it's going to harm your ability to get into the playoffs, like with Alabama, they got in, but they look terrible. They look terrible. It makes me feel like that Notre Dame should have got in over them. The only other argument I would have in that place, and I'm being specific to Alabama because that was the most controversial one that I found, other than Tulane and a couple of the other smaller schools that get in because they won their conference and had a great record. James Madison, teams like that. It to me, they're not on the same level as an SEC school, Big Ten school, Big 12 school, even ACC in a lot of cases. I think that's the problem. You've got a Vanderbilt team that went 10-2, I believe, had an excellent season, lost to some top rated SEC teams, and they're still not in. Alabama, they lose the SEC championship game the way that they did, but they went into Athens and beat Georgia, right? So I believe it was at Athens. Correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway, I just think there's way too many inconsistencies and way too many opportunities for conjecture for us to question the motive, to question who should be in and who shouldn't. It needs to be a whole lot more streamlined for these smaller schools. Schedule a tougher out of conference schedule, and if you beat those teams, you deserve to get in. But we can't sit here and pretend that a Tulane team is on the same level as the Vanderbilt SEC team. Can't do that. Notre Dame, for example, I mean, they played a decent schedule, but didn't LSU beat them the first game of the season or something like that? I forget what went down, but they took some losses that I felt like that
They
took a
lost their
loss or
first
two.
two
I felt
games
like,
of the season, I believe.
yeah, I mean, you can't. It's hard to overcome that, even though they're playing good football now. Look at their schedule, and also they have no conference that they play in. You know what I mean? So I don't feel bad for them, but I do feel like they should have been in the playoffs over a Tulane team or whatnot, or even maybe Alabama after the way they played against Georgia.
Well, let me try and unpack it from my perspective. So, a couple of things. I think Notre Dame could have been in the playoffs. I don't think that they necessarily shouldn't or should have been. I think that just like you're always going to have, whether there's 10 teams in the playoff, 20 teams in the playoff, 50 teams in the playoff, there's always going to be 51 and 52 that feels like they should have gotten in. So this argument's never going to go away, no matter how long you have it. My problem was with their reaction to it. Now, look, you lost to the team who got in before you, and then you blamed the ACC for advocating for an ACC conference member in football over you. You don't want to be in our conference in football. So don't act like the ACC should be defending you or advocating for you over a member team. Notre Dame thinks it's 1988. It's not. It's just not. You're not that big enough brand anymore. If you don't want to be left out of situations like this, buckle up and play a real season schedule. Don't cherry pick a bunch of low teams in the ACC that you have to play, and then a couple of other, Army or Navy, a bunch of academies every year. Give me a break. And you want to be taken seriously, act like everybody else does, and join a conference. Now, my other issue is with the SEC. Half your teams don't belong in the playoffs. I don't care how good they are. You made the decision to put 18 teams in your conference. Deal with it. The whole freaking playoff shouldn't be the SEC. I don't care how much talent they have. My fix for college football, very briefly, is, and we can do a whole show about this, we need to go back to smaller conferences, make the conference championships a de facto playoff. So all the conference champions get in, and then you've got so many at large that you can take from the losers of the conference championship game. Make an actual formula instead of making it a vote. Just put it out there. And
Right.
yeah, maybe Tulane gets in. They won their conference championship. You don't like it, go win your conference championship. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. Is what it is. One of the best things about college sports is that the little guy gets a shot every once in a while. That's what makes it entertaining. I don't want to see another rematch of an SEC school in the college football semifinals. It's just boring. You guys have already played, and sometimes twice. You had your chance. Just is what it is. That's my opinion. My fix is, first of all, Notre Dame, join a conference or shut up, and then we need to realign and go back to smaller conferences. These power conferences are ruining college sports, in my opinion.
I agree with you on the Notre Dame take on the as far as the SEC goes. I get it. Nobody wants to see rematch after rematch after rematch, right? Even in the CFP. But at the same time, I bring them up because they are tough. If you watch that brand of football and you watch all the other games on throughout the week, it's some spectacular play with some of the best athletes recruited around the country. So I get it. Yes, win your conference, but like, when you go 10-2 or 10-1 and you don't win your conference and you get left out, like, that's tough. That's tough. That means to me then that we should dissect the SEC and maybe create two conferences out of it and have it going in that direction. Or
Exactly.
I mean,
when you can't play a true round robin, a bunch of teams can go and only have one or two losses in the conference because the conference has a bunch of shitty teams in it, right? So when there's 15, 16 teams in the conference, not everybody is playing a true round robin. And then you've got the scenario where you've got a bunch of, 7-1 or 6-2 conference teams. Now, I know a lot of the conferences, the ACC, are moving to 9 games next year to make sure that more teams play each other so you're closer to that true round robin. But when these conferences are so big, the argument that, oh well, they went 10-2 and they went 7-2 in the conference or whatever, and then cleaned up non-conference. Well, yeah, that's because the conference has 18 members in it. 7-2 in a
Right,
conference with
right.
18 members doesn't mean anything. 7-2 in a conference with 10 members, now that means something.
Yeah, we kind of we disagree a little bit on that aspect of it, Doug, and that's okay. I think you want to see the best football teams on the field in the college football playoffs. Period. Tulane is going to get drug out of there. They're going to get absolutely drug out of the playoffs in the first round. That to me is not exciting football. That to me, and I'm not knocking Tulane. Congratulations to them. But I don't see them getting past the first round. If you give me a team that has better victories in a tougher conference, I'll show you a game that could go down to the wire a lot of times, in a lot of cases, depending upon matchups, of course. But, at the end of the day, the conferences are all screwed up. You've got Stanford and you've got SMU in the Atlantic Coast Conference. What do those two schools have to do with the Atlantic Coast Conference? Zero. There's a lot of parity like that in college football.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be completely redistricted, or whatever the case may be, realigned as far as conferences go, and let's have schools play each other where it makes sense regionally for travel, for fan support and travel, things like that. I'm not going out to Dallas, Texas to go watch SMU and Louisville play. I'm not going out to California to watch Stanford and Louisville play. You know what I mean? But I may go to Wake Forest. I may go to UNC. I may go to
Yeah.
NC State when my team is playing there, because they're in the ACC on the Atlantic Coast, not the Pacific Coast. So I bring that up just to
Wow,
say,
right?
like, it's all out of whack. It's all out of line. I agree with you, Notre Dame take. I just think that at the end of the day, you've got to put the best teams, the best quality teams into the playoffs, period. And it's a hard thing to do, but they've got to come up with some type of standard, something that is more diplomatic in regards to that, as opposed to, hey, you go win the Conference USA championship, you're in. No, those teams are going to get drugged by SEC teams every single time. I'm sorry. It happens. Maybe once in a blue moon, you'll have a Boise State that goes out there and beats up on somebody, right? Occasionally. That was, 10 years ago? But it doesn't happen like that. There's to me, that's an easy win for whoever gets those teams in the first round.
Well, we'll definitely revisit this in the new year. I think it'll be fun to see how the playoffs break down. And I don't want to see an SEC team get drugged by another SEC team, because that kicks the whole Tulane not belonging right out of the picture. So we'll come back to it, okay? We got to move on. We got to move on.
All year. Come on, Doug.
We got to move on. All right. We're getting local now, okay? Let's talk about shopping local. Did you know that small businesses contribute 43% of the national GDP? That is a huge number at a time of year when people are focused on a lot of shopping and all of that. I think it's important to talk about why I focus on shopping local whenever I can. And, sometimes it's just not impossible. But over chains, I like to go to local restaurants, right? And the same thing with other places where I buy things. Anytime I can support a local business for my signage, for my real estate business, versus ordering from some national brand. Obviously, we're both local brands too, right? We're not huge national businesses. We're very local. We're our own business owners, very localized. So I just wanted to talk about that, see how you try to shop local. What are some of your favorite local businesses to patronize?
Oh man, there's so many in Wilmington. If here's the thing, the way that I see it, if I can go to a local store and spend maybe a little bit more money, right, than I would at a big outfit, a big retailer, I'll do it. Okay, to support local
Yeah.
business. But what I find is a lot of cases, the big stores, they buy in bulk and they get offered more
Yeah.
inventory to be able to order and to sell, and they can sell for a whole lot cheaper. And that's just kind of the way it is.
That's
I
tough.
love shopping local, but at the same time, I'm also not going to pay $20 more for the same item I can go get somewhere else. I'm sorry. So really, I mean, for me, it's kind of uh, it's a bit different in the business that I do, because while people could call a call center mortgage lender like Sprocket or whatever you want to call them, you can call them all day long. They're national, they're corporate. At the end of the day, though, their price is not going to be lower or way better or even better at all than what mine is, what I'm able to offer. Okay, period.
Yeah.
So for me being local here, it's a bit different in the mortgage industry because I have a local footprint, local appraisers, local attorneys, local real estate pros like you that I refer people out to. When I go shop at a local business, you know, I don't mind spending a little bit extra money than I normally would. But at the end of the day, again, if it's 20, $50 higher, what are you going to do? You're kind of in a rock and a hard
Right.
spot. You want to
I
be
mean, that's
captain
fair.
supportive of the local business. You want to be captain supportive
Right.
of the local business, but you also have to be supportive of your pocketbook and your family that you have to feed. So, local businesses in Wilmington, I really appreciate a lot. Mostly diners like restaurants, like Elijah's
Yeah.
downtown is great. Ogden Tap Room is a great option in the Ogden area of Wilmington. There's so many great places I could go on about, but it makes it difficult. There's a store that I shop at. Real quick story. I went in there the other day, and they have some of these it's like bottles of health type medicines, not medicines, but you know, protein shakes, whatever you want to call them. Okay, it's like health stuff. Well, I'm in there, and I've been buying a lot of things out of there, trying to get myself back in order, get in shape, or whatnot. And the guy says to me, if you go to Lowe's, Lowe's grocery stores, you can get this for like $40 cheaper. And I'm like, first
Oh,
of all, if I own that business and I heard my employee saying that, I'd be like, stop right now. What are you doing? But at the same
get out of
time,
here. Yeah.
it's like, hey, okay. I mean, it's just one example, right? So again, I love
Yeah.
shopping local, love keeping it local, but at the end of the day, you also got to go with what your pocketbook says.
And I think that's all fair. Two quick stats to drop, which I thought were really interesting. In North Carolina, roughly 90% of recent jobs created were created by local businesses, and 68% of money spent locally stays in the community. So that's really good. And those are just some really good economic reasons to support local businesses as well. So thought that would be good to share at this point in the year where we're probably all spending more money than we do the rest of the year. We're moving on through these. Final walkthrough. We're getting closer to the closing table or closing time. Talk about, we talked about taking it easy in January or in December. Some people do. They pump the brakes, they back out of work. But you know what that does? When your productivity drops, and it's statistics show 10 to 30% for people in December. Well, what does that mean? January is going to look super daunting after you get back from those holidays. So, what is something you can do to make sure that maybe you're not going 100%, maybe you're going 90%, but what's something that you're doing now to make sure that when you pick back up in the new year, that you hadn't let something fall behind or missed out on an opportunity because you were distracted by the holidays?
I'm just refusing procrastination. A lot of times, like I said, when I've had some of my busiest months and biggest production months in December, it's because I was out working everybody. Always being available. If I'm not outworking you, then I'm giving you an opportunity to get on my turf. I'm giving you an opportunity to come in and say, you know what? Well, Ben's not available, but guess what? I am. So I work all through the holidays. I work all through the slower months or whatever you want to call them. To me, it's just another day. Because if I outwork you, I position myself for success for 2026. It's all about really the last 3 months of the year are your setup points for 2026. What kind of things are you going to do to put yourself out there, to make yourself available, and get an opportunity to get in front of as many people as you can? That's why I love the fact one of the reasons I love that we're doing this show, Doug. I mean, we picked it up in a time of year where a lot of people take time off and just wouldn't
Yeah.
want to have any parts of doing this stuff. Not us. We're going to outgrind and outwork and outmaneuver folks that want to be passive and take time off for the holidays. It's like we talked about in a couple segments ago. You have to be available at all times in our industry. If I'm not, there's going to be the next guy down the road that is. So, it's all about availability, consistency. I'm not going to allow procrastination to enter my mindset during the last part of the year.
I think that one thing to think about is why would you want to work with somebody who's checking out for a month? What we do is too important, helping people make hundreds of $1,000 decisions. You want somebody who's dialed in all the time. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy the holidays. That doesn't mean I don't take vacation with my family throughout the year. I'm working when I'm on vacation. My family gets it. It allows me to do a lot of stuff when I'm not on vacation, right? But I love when I hear other agents talking that they're checking out this time of year. You know why? Because I'm going to be the person that shows, hey, I'm ready to work for you. And you're right. This last quarter of the year, we're building business for the first quarter. We work in leading indicator industries. So most of the time we connect with someone, they're not necessarily ready today. So we have to earn the relationship right then, provide the value. So when they are ready, we're the only call that they make. And this is the best time of the year to do it because so many people they can't even reach.
Right.
It's great.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't I can't unplug that way, and I don't ever want to. So it's
I
I
love it.
love being available. I put out posts on the holidays. Hey, I'm available all holiday weekend. Anytime, 24/7. Let's go. Let's get you the keys to your new home.
There you go. And you know what that attitude does? It gets us to closing time, right? Because that's our ultimate goal is to get our folks to closing time. So speaking of closing time, why do you think buyers start searching right after Christmas? Did you know that home traffic searches jump nearly 50% in December? So my opinion is people have downtime, they're off of work, inventory is up, they've got time to get on my website, to look at homes, to have those conversations about what's important, what's the move we want to make next year. Also, historically, this time of year is a great time of year for people to make job changes because of the whole mindset of just the calendar rolling over. And that leans towards, I think, people making a decision about buying or selling. What do you see from your end? What's your perspective?
I think a lot of people are, as far as maybe budget wise, they're factoring in, Christmas gifts and expenditures, travel for Christmas, things like that they have to pay for. And I think a lot of that can come into your budget when you're looking to buy a new house. I mean, it's relative to down payments. It's relative to how much, credit card debt am I going to get in by purchasing these items? Can I pay them off quickly and still afford a down payment and whatnot on a new house? I think to your point about people having more time, people like to shop for homes when they have time to do it, right? And what better time if you're
Yeah.
trying to zone out from maybe the aggravating mother-in-law or brother-in-law or whatever, some of the family sitting around and they're all in your ear and you're like, hey, I'm just going to go zone out on my phone and look around at some houses. You got a great out, right? That's just a great
Right.
it's a way to do it and not be perceived as rude. Hey, I'm shopping for a house right now. You guys are going to have to give me about 3 hours over here after the food. So it's kind of a good way to it's also a good way as a family to sit around and say, hey, you know what? Let's start looking around. You're in the gift giving
Yeah.
season. You're in a festive mood. You're perhaps gifting yourself a new home is something that crosses your mind around Christmas time. So I think people are excited because when the new year comes around, it's a new opportunity, right? People deem it a brand new, fresh start, if you will. And I think a lot of folks use that same mindset when they go into buying a home after Christmas time, after holidays, and all that good stuff. How about you?
No, I'm with you. I mean, a lot of the same reasons. I agree with you. And I'm excited about this time of year because of that optimism and that excitement that the new year typically brings with people getting fired back up and really ready to hit the ground running. And I'm ready for it. I know you're going to be ready for it because our job is to get people to closing time and to what? The closing table. And guess what? It's closing time for us today. So, Ben, had a great time. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to New Leaf Home Inspections for being our presenting sponsor. They're North Carolina's most trusted home inspector. Ben, we're almost to Christmas. We got a few more weeks to go, but we will be back next week at the closing table. I'll see you then.